I do. Right, first up, the siren you heard in the little intro, that is just a test, okay? It's just a test. And it is actually a current system. That wasn't a recording from World War II. That was taken from this location, and it's called the seven-side siren. And it's basically a system that would sound in the event of some sort of chemical leak from the industrial area a few miles away in the docks, down by the docks. So that's what it is. But yeah, it shows that disaster and all the rest of it could only just be around the corner. So in the week we did actually plan to go out up to some high ground with the little handheld Maycom AH-27 CB radio, but as luck would have it, I've got a bit of a dose of the old gout, and Mrs. came down with quite a heavy cold, which I now have, okay? So rather than my usual sort of beverages, I have a lemon cold and flu treatment. But please excuse me if there's a few sort of edits in this video, because that'll be me taking a break to cough my boots up. Anyway, in this video I'll explain the background to this little simple test, SHTF comms on CB radio, a few of my thoughts in a little sort of preface, and then we'll cut over to how we went out in the week and did a bit of testing of the old CB from a seaside or channel side location here in the southwest of the UK. Okay, so yes indeed, let's crack into this. So yeah, I'll probably do some more video on this, sort of general sort of preps, etc., non-radio related, and I'll stick them up on the 104's Unplugged channel. So that's that. If people seem to be interested in that, I will do that. But this exercise really was intended to be, over the last few weeks actually, a bit of an SHTF comms test using very, very basic CB kit, not even a proper antenna put up. This is literally that little Maycom AH-27 handheld CB radio, probably on a good day is putting out about 3.2 watts into that upgrade Albrecht CL-27 antenna with a speaker mic and some rechargeable batteries. That's it. So plan was to go out in the week, go up to a hill, mountain, something like that, and getting on the net. But however, as I explained, circumstances once again did not permit that to happen. So rather than call it a dead loss, we managed to get out to a fairly local location and started off in a little bit of woodland, tried to get in on the net, modicum of success. Couple of guys could hear me, couple of guys couldn't. So then you'll see me hobble at the fastest pace I possibly could down through the woods and on down to the side of the Bristol Channel. So once I got down there, you'll see from the results how much better it was to actually, even from a lower location, to get a better result than we did up in the woods. So there we go. That's out to sea. Inland, as you'll see from one guy that was behind us, inland so to speak, crap. But certainly across water, this is salt water, I would say quite impressive results. You'll see the distances I post at the end. I think you'll be quite surprised and quite how effective that little piece of kit was. So yeah, tune in to see the end of that. And I said, I think you'll be quite surprised. And don't forget, there's no skip running, there's nothing bouncing off the atmosphere. This is signal straight across to Wales and one down the coast to just outside Minehead. Now these other guys are all at high ground locations, so they are doing a lot of the work for me. But I would hope, and I would totally expect, people like myself, guys like the people that frequent the nets, in the event of the some sort of comms down, communications breakdown situation, people like us would sort of switch over into a more sort of community-based mode and get out on these hills, mountains, seaside, open countryside to get some comms going in the event of some sort of emergency. Now, a lot of people, excuse me while I take a sip of this lemon sip, a lot of people a few years ago would probably laugh at the idea of the sort of preparedness that either the full-on preppers or the sort of people that have always been somewhat prepared like myself, they would probably laugh at their efforts. But the last couple of years, major pandemic, lockdowns, then we get the war on the continent of Europe, yeah, things like that, energy bill crisis linked in with the two and all the rest of it, the distinct possibility of power outages, particularly in mainland Europe, who've got a much higher reliance on the gas supplies from Russia. What else? Loads of things can go wrong. Cyber attacks could take out, who knows, it could take out the cellular network system, either one of the providers or all of the providers. Don't forget that all these communications over mobile phones, they go through a third party. It's to your local cell tower, then you get the trunks over to the, and all the rest of it to build up the network. And the long and short of it is, as far as I'm aware, there's 4 actual mobile phone providers. You've got your O2, Vodafone, EE and 3. The other networks, they're sort of virtual networks that operate from those. For example, giffgaff, Tesco Mobile, I think, piggyback off the O2 network. So if the O2 network goes down, they go down as well. So yeah, and indeed a few years ago O2 did go down and the panic started to ramp up on the internet straight away. So who knows, physical attack on cell towers or virtual attack via cyber attack. What else could happen? You could have say solar flares, things like that, CME, things like that, knock out all sorts of communications. So I actually think it's pretty good that even with some very simple CB kit, it's still possible to get some contacts to people that you know and you can trust their word. Obviously there's going to be a lot of Chinese whispers going on in the event of some sort of major catastrophe or comms down situation, but hopefully you can get some information and hopefully keep things sort of running. I would also hope that, say, the military or BBC or whatever would get something going on the FM broadcast band. So always keep your, I've got a couple knocking around, keep your normal sort of transistor radios handy. Who knows, make sure you've got batteries and all the rest of it, because you just never know. You just never know. So I say, watch the footage that I got from a little bit from the woodland, but mainly down at the seaside, and hopefully it wasn't a serious net or anything like that. It wasn't a sort of trial run of an SHTF situation. It was just me calling into the regular homesteaders net. But I think you could probably extrapolate the results that I've got into an SHTF situation. Now, I know a lot of people will say amateur radio is the way to go in SHTF. I would say let's hope that everything available to us interlaces, cooperates. You could get a certain situation where, well, say there's still going to be a lot of CB kit knocking around, so that can be part of the whole comms down thing. And then, as I say, on these nets, I am actually talking to amateur radio people. They're going to have access to HF, they're going to have access to 2 meters VHF, and also UHF with their 70 centimeters. I'd also have access to PMR 446, 446 megahertz, as well as 27 megahertz FM, AM, SSB. I've also got a license to use business radio, who knows. But yeah, once you've sort of interconnected with these people, a lot of these amateurs now are doing email over HF, email over VHF, email over UHF, so the whole thing can come together. And indeed, if you actually look at the situation in Ukraine, at the outset of the invasion by Russia, the amateur radio system, or the amateur radio users, were banned from operating. I think initially it was for 30 days. I don't know if that ban is still ongoing. So in Ukraine, at least at the outset of this invasion, amateur radio transmissions were banned. Obviously, with amateur radio, you are officially registered with Ofcom, etc., so they know where you live. So it may be a case that deregulated, unlicensed radio operation could again sort of come to the fore a little bit more. So it's best to have all the options there. And certainly with kit like the little Maycom AH-27, perhaps with the easy deployment wire antenna T2LT coax dipole that I use, it's easy to set up, get some comms going, drop the kit down and keep moving. So all the options should be left open. Anyway, that's enough of this little preface. I'll hand you over now to me up in the woods, and yeah, you'll see me hobble down to the seaside, and a little bit of banter and a few contacts on the local CB net. It's Gary 104 trying. Gary 104 trying. 104. Okay folks, right, I'll leave that on because it's quite sunny. Made it down by the sea now. I'm going to call back into the net. The tide's out a bit, so that won't help, but let's see if our signals are up compared with being in the local woods 60 meters higher, because literally we are now at 0 ASL. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, it's 104 back, literally just popped down by the sea there, Ian.
Roger on that. Okay, in that case, Gary, if you could give one of us a shout and see if he's taking you.
Certainly can. How about it, Brian? Any joy from the seaside? Any copy on 104, Brian 108?
Yeah, copy there, Gary. I got you a signal 2 and a radio 2 to 3 now. I did have you on the last place that you was at. You started to come in.
Yeah, I stood up on the picnic table there, Brian. I'm now actually at 0 ASL, and I'm looking down the Bristol Channel towards Flatholme Island, and I can see Sand Point, and I think that's Penarth, isn't it, that sticks out into the sea and will fill me in on that terrain.
Yeah, I'm a lot further around the coastline from there, Ian, and Gary, so that's why I've been struggling with you. Anyway, I'll put it back to...
For duper little copy that, Brian, very pleased. Worth the extra trek down to the seaside. And we're getting some sea air as well, mate. So, yeah, nice one there, Brian.
Okay, Gary, thanks, mate. Back to you, Ian. See what you can do. Roger on that. Okay, Alan, 1654, any copy on Gary 104? Yeah, good afternoon, Gary.
Yeah, what a difference that made then. You're radio 5 into me, no problem at all there, Alan. And literally down by the seaside.
Next week you'll be sat in your kayak in the channel.
No, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. Yeah. I better learn to swim pretty damn quick as well then, if I'm going to try that sort of lark there, Alan. Back to you.
Well, put a life jacket on, don't get too far out, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I got an inbuilt one, mate. It's called a beer belly.
Oh, well, that's cheaper than a life jacket.
I don't know, it cost a lot to get it in place there, mate.
Yeah, a lot more than a life jacket.
Yeah, absolutely. I am trying to work a bit of it off though. It started getting a bit too much. I could be more like a buoy in the sea to warn shipping if I put a light on top of my head, mate. That's you.
Well, you'll be alright, just put an aerial on top and you'll be well away.
Yeah, that's it, Mr. Blobby floating around in the sea there, Alan. I don't know. Yeah, so you never know, mate. You never know. I'd love to do a bit of maritime mobile. I've done the 2 islands out in the channel years and years ago. That was good fun, but never done anything from an actual boat as yet there, mate. Back to you.
Excellent. Back to you then, Ian. Many thanks, Alan. Okay, Alan, 113, any copy on Gary, Charlie Tango 104? Absolutely. No come on in, Gary. You got 113.
Yeah, I always get you there, Alan. Even better than before, actually. So, yeah, height is not always might, unless you can get up a mountain. So I've dropped 60 metres, come near the sea, and I'm getting everybody in the net, and they're getting me as well. So, yeah, it's funny how finicky this radio can be there, Alan. Back to you.
Yes, big improvement, Gary. You were 3 and 3, you were now 5 and 5. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. And no noise coming in with your signal as well. John Fusewire, Charlie Tango 1582. Anything heard from Gary, Charlie Tango 104? No, sadly nothing at all here, I'm afraid. No, fair enough, John.
Righto, folks, there we go. So coming down by the seaside certainly helped. A lot better than just up the cliffs there, so that was pretty damn good. So everyone that couldn't hear me up there could hear me down here, which is amazing. It's actually 60 odd meters lower. So there we go. As far as emergency comms, a great exercise. So it just goes to show that even with this really basic equipment, and a 54-year-old that's just hobbled down to a half decent location on a gouty foot can get in on a net and say, in the event of communications breakdown, whatever, can spread the word and talk to some people that I know some distance away. And I'm not too sure exactly where those guys are, but I will annotate on the video, if any of the footage has come out of them, I will annotate on the video how far away they are. So there we go. So yeah, you don't need SHTF comms to be a massive array of antennas, equipment, HF radios, mobile generators, a bank of batteries. It's surprising what you can do with something as basic as this. Now, this is all repeatable comms. We're not relying on any skip coming in, anything bouncing off the atmosphere. This is direct, you could call it ground wave, surface wave, or seen on by the sea, sea wave. So there we go. And certainly if there is any sort of propagation running, you'll hear more than likely more of it, as a lot of people do say that once you get down by salt water, it's very beneficial to the old skip communications and skywave communications. So there we go, well worth the crack. Great to get in on Homesteaders Net. That's 3 weeks on the trot now. Just if you look at my video last week, I made it in by about 3 minutes, but nice to get into the guys once again. Always a pleasure, and yeah, worthy exercise. I'll try it next time when we're a little bit healthier, a little bit fitter, with a proper T2 LT antenna. Catch you on the next one. Cheers and beers all.